West Virginia, you can legally carry a concealed gun at 18 on a college campus. But miss one detail, you could be a felon. Chapter 1. Buying a gun in West Virginia. Now picture this, you walk into a gun shop in Charleston. The question isn't if you can buy, it's how fast. Under federal law, you must be 21 or older to buy a handgun from a licensed dealer, and 18 or older for rifles and shotguns. Before the dealer hands it over, they'll run your name through the NICS or NICS background check system. If you pass, you can walk out the same day. West Virginia doesn't add any waiting period, doesn't require a permit to purchase, and doesn't maintain a state gun registry. But what if you're buying from your neighbor? If both of you are West Virginia residents, there's no state required paperwork. But don't get sloppy. Federal law still makes it a felony to sell to someone you know or should know is prohibited. Now for the big guns. Suppressors, short-barreled rifles, even machine guns. All of these are legal here if you comply with federal NFA law, the tax stamp, registration, and ATF approval. But machine guns? You're limited to those registered before 1986. New civilian machine guns are banned under federal law. West Virginia law directly echoes this: no compliance, no possession. Now, why does this chapter matter? This is where gun ownership begins, and most mistakes happen. Know the law before you buy, especially in private sales or when handling NFA gear. So now that you've bought the gun, can you legally carry it? Chapter 2. West Virginia Permitless and Provisional Carry. Now, let's say you're in a Walmart parking lot in Morgantown. Pistol on your hip, is that legal? If you're 21 or older and legally allowed to own a gun, West Virginia says yes, you can carry openly or concealed, no license required. That's called constitutional carry, and it's the law here. But what if you're like 18, 19, or 20? You can open carry without a license, but if you want to conceal it, you'll need a provisional concealed handgun license. That requires training and a clean background. So why do people 21 and up still get a license if it's not required? Well, there's two main reasons. Reciprocity, a CHL lets you legally carry in other states that recognize West Virginia permits. And what about access? Some areas, like college campuses, require a permit, even in West Virginia. This is important because the rules change depending on your age and whether you're inside or outside West Virginia. And a simple age-related mistake like carrying concealed at 20 without a provisional license can get you charged. And speaking of special access, let's talk about those colleges. Chapter 3. West Virginia Campus Carry. So West Virginia's Campus Self-Defense Act started in July 1st, 2024. If you have a valid CHL, regular or provisional, you can now carry concealed on most public college and university campuses. But don't get cocky, open carry is still banned, and schools are allowed to create restricted areas, including stadiums over 1,000 seats, campus daycare centers, law enforcement areas, medical and counseling facilities, labs with hazardous materials, hearing rooms, and administrative offices, and any space with controlled access. Dorm residents, school must provide secure storage for firearms. This law doesn't mean total freedom on campus. It means responsible carry in designated zones by trained individuals, because until recently, any kind of campus carry was completely off limits. This new law makes West Virginia one of the few states to explicitly support armed self-defense in higher education, but it only applies to license holders, and the penalties for violating restricted zones could cost you your permit or worse. But once you leave campus, where else can't you carry? Chapter 4. Carry restrictions across the state of West Virginia. Even in a Pro 2A state like West Virginia, there are places where carry is illegal no matter who you are. Kindergarten through 12 schools and court buildings. Firearms banned inside, some exceptions for storing a weapon locked in your car, for example, but don't carry through the front door. Capitol complex buildings, concealed weapons banned here if posted, but a locked car exemption still applies. Private property. If a business posts a no gun sign or verbally asks you to leave, you must comply. Otherwise, you're trespassing. What about city buses and rec centers? Well, here's the twist. West Virginia has state preemption, meaning only the state legislature can make gun laws, but municipalities can restrict carry inside their buildings and recreational facilities, and unless you have a CHL, they can restrict you from other public property too. Now, why does this matter? People assume constitutional carry means carry anywhere. Wrong. The where still matters, and if you ignore these zones, you could be facing a misdemeanor or felony depending on the location. Alright, well, what happens when you're carrying and get pulled over? Chapter 5, West Virginia traffic stops and duty to inform. You got flashing lights behind you, you're carrying. Now what? In West Virginia, you do not have a legal duty to inform an officer that you're armed unless they ask. But if they do ask, you must answer truthfully. If you lie or try to hide it, that's how a regular stop turns into a felony investigation. Many CCW instructors recommend disclosing anyway, calmly, with hands visible, but it's not required, but they always ask. So what should you say? Officer, I just want to let you know I have a valid concealed firearm on me. How would you like me to proceed? And then do what they say. And I'm here to tell you, most gun owners won't end up in court, but they will get pulled over. And how you handle that moment can define everything that comes after, good or bad. Alright, but what if something does turn violent? Like what if I defended myself and I had to use my gun? When can I legally shoot? Well, I'm glad you asked. Chapter 6, West Virginia self-defense laws. West Virginia gives you full stand your ground and castle doctrine protection. That means no duty to retreat. You can use deadly force in your home, car, or anywhere you're lawfully allowed to move. If you reasonably believe it's necessary to stop death, serious injury, or a violent felony. But here's the catch. It's not just about what you believe. It's about whether a reasonable person would have believed the same. Like a jury. You don't get immunity just because you felt afraid. You get protection when that fear is objectively justified. Now, and I'm going to tell you why this matters, because this is the line between being a law-abiding defender and being charged with manslaughter. Know where that bar is. I mean, really know, because if you defend your home in a dark hallway and the police get there and all the shots were in the back, you're going to get scrutinized, no matter how you felt. So that's why I repeat myself, know where the bar is and whether you can prove it. Alright, on to the next one. Not everyone even has the right to carry in the first place. So, Chapter 7, Who can't carry in West Virginia? Even in the Mountain State, some people are legally barred from possessing or carrying a firearm. So here are the federal law bans list. Felons, misdemeanor domestic violence offenders, people under restraining or protective orders, drug users, those dishonorably discharged, people adjudicated mentally incompetent. State law mirrors much of this and says anyone convicted of a felony or certain violent misdemeanors is prohibited. This also applies to getting a CHL. If you don't pass the background check, then you don't get the permit. These disqualifiers don't just affect criminals, they affect people who made one bad decision years ago. And if you're not sure whether you're prohibited, carrying a gun can turn that uncertainty into a prison sentence. But what about red flag laws? Does West Virginia allow them? Chapter 8, Sanctuary law and red flag ban in West Virginia. In 2021, West Virginia went on the offense for gun rights. The Second Amendment Preservation and Anti-Federal Commandeering Act, HB 2694, did two big things. One, it blocked West Virginia courts from issuing red flag confiscation orders, meaning your guns can't be seized by a civil court based on hearsay or suspicion alone. That's great. And the other says state and local agencies can't enforce federal gun control laws that conflict with West Virginia law. So an example of this is if the federal government tries to pass an assault weapon ban, state police don't have to help enforce it. But here's the truth, federal agents still can. West Virginia can say, we're not helping, but they can't stop federal enforcement under the Supremacy Clause. Red flag laws have popped up in dozens of states, and in West Virginia, they've been preemptively shut down. But that only applies to state level action. Federal pressure could still change the game. So you just got a crash course on West Virginia gun laws in 2025. Now do these two things. Head to Relax Fit Tactical and gear up with concealed carry apparel built for you. Don't be lame, subscribe.